and circles and lines. Make up the alphabet sounds of all kinds. Put them together and you can spell words. You can make any word you've ever heard. You can use letters that have sound.
We just see the arts as so important to helping raise critically alive kids. So what you guys are doing is so essential, and I thank you for that. We're in over 85 countries, but I would say we're very Western-type brand, so we have a lot of work to do. China would be a main focus for us, of course, Southeast Asia, Latin America, Mexico, but we have a lot of work to do, and there's really no shortage of opportunities. It's just a matter of getting to them all. So it's a great opportunity to speak to you. I can turn it over to Rich to ask questions, and I'll answer anything that you guys have to ask.
Okay. What I'm going to do is I'm going to have each one do maybe 2 minutes on who they are, where they're from, what their specialty is, and then they might have a question for you after they tell you something that's really jumped out at them as they've been both reading through and acting through and singing through and creating. This is a week of both philosophy and creation, or this 2 weeks, and then we go into summer arts camps, starting here in the cities and then into South Carolina. So my phone isn't going to stretch everywhere, so have to come up front. So we'll start with Laura. Laura, tell us who you are, what you just graduated from, and something that jumps out at you in this whole process.
Hi, my name is Laura Mason.
Hi, Laura.
Hey, nice to meet you. I just graduated from the University of Minnesota Twin Cities with a dual major in theater arts and communication studies. So I'm a freelance actor around the Minneapolis area, and I'm super excited about how we are incorporating the arts into rich learning curriculum. For me, theater is definitely about people and overcoming obstacles, telling stories, and I think that's so important for kids to learn. And then on a different end of the spectrum, being interested in communication studies, I think it's so fascinating how in the beginning of the Yellow Book, we talk about the way that technology has evolved over the years. And I think rich learning is really taking advantage of the amazing technology that we have in this world and incorporating it and using it for preschoolers who are already interested in playing with iPads. So not only are we getting on the kids' level in a very personal, one-on-one way with having them sing and dance and color with us, but we're also looking to make TV shows and apps and stuff for them to use at home and to really entrench them in this curriculum. So that's what I'm super excited about.
All right, I'm Nicole. I just graduated from Roberts Wesleyan College with a degree in communication. I've done theater in college. I did art. My concentration was media, and I did music. But my question for you is, you were saying that Crayola really seeks to foster creativity with young kids. And I was wondering, what are some of the ways that the Crayola brand already goes about doing that and tries to foster that creativity through the resources that they already have?
My name is Nikki.
Hi, Nikki.
And I live in Minneapolis. I was born and raised here. I am a freelance performing musician. I'm a hardcore, metalcore musician, and then I'm also a freelance photographer and videographer. And super excited to have this opportunity with Rich Learning and keep doing all this great stuff. One thing I found that was really interesting that we've been learning about in the Yellow Book is how patterns through music help kids learn so much. And especially being a musician myself, I always wondered, why is music so helpful for me with learning? And now just to see the science behind it and how we're involving it in our curriculum with our kids we're teaching, it's phenomenal, and they pick up things so fast, and it's beautiful.
And if you had a question, do you have anything on your mind?
What's your favorite Crayola color?
All right, Cole, come on down.
Hi, my name's Cole Jett. I studied mass communication and film and video studies at the University of Oklahoma. Part of the curriculum here is to explore different physical parts of our brain and their functions. And one that stood out to me was the amygdala, because it stores emotional memories and all that. And this is relevant, I think, to Crayola, because I don't think as adults there's any of us that would open a box of Crayolas and with that smell not immediately be transported back to when we were kids and like a specific happy memory. So I guess I just wanted to thank you for that.
Thank you for the smell, Paul.
Thanks for the smell, Paul.
And would you have any?
Yeah, it's the eighth most recognizable smell.
If you had a
Quick
question.
question. What's number one?
What's number one?
Yeah, what's the most recognizable smell? If
Coffee.
Crayola crayons are
Coffee, yeah.
number 8, what's number 1?
Coffee, that's a good one, yeah.
You got it.
Coffee
That
works.
is.
All right, thanks, Paul.
All right, Rachel, come on down.
Hi, I'm Rachel. I used to go to Purpose Center Art High School, where we're working right now, and then I also studied at the School of Visual Arts in New York. Something that I found interesting in the neurology is that when you learn something orally, a person remembers about 10% of it, but adding a picture to it increases that by 6.5 times. Yeah, so you recall about 65% of the information that you were presented with, which just makes visual arts and art supplies so important. And my question for you would be, you talked about expansions and how you're already in 85 countries. What countries specifically or areas are you interested in expanding to?
Okay, we'll hold that for the end. Ashley, come on down.
I'm originally from Minnesota. I studied at San Francisco Art Institute with photography and film. So one thing I read in the Rich Learning book is art engages the whole brain, and at best it engages the whole mind. The right side of the brain processes colors, symbols, pictures, and relationships, and the left side of the brain processes words and sequences in logical detail. And I just went with Rich Learning to Ethiopia, and this was a place that no one really knew what like in-house paint was, like finger paint, and even the adults were very surprised when we had these little Crayola like finger paints. And so I was just one of my questions was is there already like a Crayola thing where we can even get like the kids' parents to engage in art activities at home.
Thank you.
Hi, Paul. I'm Wes. I have a business administration degree from Wartburg College, but I love music and theater, and it's been so cool. I was also in Ethiopia seeing how teaching through all of the arts just opened the kids up, and they were learning so much without even realizing it was learning because it was so fun. And one of the coolest things, there's a quote from the Rich Learning book that says, "The most priceless art in the world is not found in the Hague or the Louvre, it's found on refrigerators." And to me, that's so powerful because, we've all had crayons, and whether or not, you're just making scribbles or making little stick people as a 3-year-old, I think that now with so much technology that, playing at home with crayons and a piece of paper is becoming less and less common. And so for us to be in some ways like reintroducing that creativity that is so simple but so powerful for little brains, I think definitely having Crayola crayons to be in all of our classrooms would be so helpful for children because, it's likely that the majority of the kids that we're going to be teaching may not have crayons in their home. So it's so exciting to potentially have that opportunity to engage them on a level that is no longer as prevalent as it used to be.
Oh, Laura's back with a question, and we have Laura.
If you could teach a preschooler one thing, what would you teach them?
I'll put that on the board. All right, Maya.
Hi, I'm Maya.
Hi, Mike.
Maya Prentice. I just recently graduated from Spelman College with a BA in drama last year, and I'm going on to my second year of my MFA at the University of Illinois at Urbana-Champaign this upcoming fall. One thing I really like about this, a lot of times little kids when they're learning things, and even us as adults when learning, we tend to compartmentalize our learning a lot. And because this method makes so much sense and it's connecting different mediums, and even the way this book is written, it allows me to connect quotes from different neurologists and, you know, Dr. Rich. So I have a few quotes. The first one is, "You've got to open the kid before you open the book." And it goes on to explain, "The very act of watching your friends sing and dance and art and play makes for a tremendous amount of fun. And fun opens the kid, fun opens the brain." Which also connects to another quote earlier on in the book that says, "The feeling that you are part of a greater whole, of a choir, of a dance, of a tribe, of a movement, that feeling is a drug in and of itself." And if Dr. Annie Patel's quote that says, the mind is the brain meets the body meets the environment, if that's true, then this quote also is true that says, "Your brain may extend to your fingertips, but your mind literally extends to the edge of the universe." So yeah, that's what I really love about this method, about this book, about this whole program. So yeah, and I guess my question is, where do you see the company in the next few years? Like, let's say the next 5 years, where do you see, how big do you see it? How, I guess, exponentially do you see it growing?
Maya is also an expert in sign language. One of the biggest surprises, both in India and in Africa, is the moment you add muscle memory to the spelling and the learning and such, you have attention, retention, and it's not an additive thing, it's an exponential thing, it's a multiplicative thing. The muscle memory helps them learn so much faster. Whether you're drawing and using your little muscles, or you're jumping and dancing, which brings us to Camille, who's our expert dancer who came with us. Camille, tell us about you.
Hello.
Hello.
My name's Camille Thomas. I'm going to be a junior at Michigan State University in the fall, and I'm studying arts and humanities and theater. I'm getting a double major. And one of my favorite philosophies from the Rich Learning Program is that a poor child can become very rich if exposed to great warmth, great dreams, stimulating ideas, positive touch, and genuine encouragement. Especially working in Shashamene, where we were, there weren't a lot of resources for the kids, but they were all very satisfied with what little they had, and when we had a few crayons, they just went crazy over them. They loved playing. They would play in the dirt with their fingers and draw things. So my question is, how do you feel about expanding your brand into Africa? I know you said you were looking at China, Southeast Asia, and Latin America, but I really feel like Ethiopia could benefit from the Crayola brand.
Grace, come on down.
Okay. Hi, my name is Grace. I just graduated high school in Northern California. One thing that I thought was really interesting, you need oxygen and glucose and brain-derived neurotrophic factor to learn, and just how important it is to be dancing or to be active while you're learning rather than just sitting in a desk like we've all done our whole lives.
Hi, I'm Brianna Scamilla. I'm heading into my third year at Michigan State University. I will be obtaining a dual degree in anthropology and global and area studies with a focus in Latino Caribbean studies, and I minor in African American and African studies.
That's a list.
Is that all? Couldn't you throw in some neurology?
I'll think about it. And so, from the book itself, when you, in your introduction, you said that Crayola seeks to foster creativity around the world, and we know that if your brain contains 100 billion nerve cells, you have as many connections and nerve cells as all the stars in the Milky Way galaxy. And so with these infinite connections that you can connect via the arts, so music, art, dance, these tools allow you to create endless possibilities. And so that leads into my question: how has the arts allowed you to connect your work to your company, to your life, and to your own self-development as someone who seeks to promote creativity and education?
Good question. Thank you. Noni, what you got?
Hi, my name is Melanie. I just graduated from Alabama State University in December 2015 with a Bachelor of Arts degree in graphic design. I am currently a freelance graphic designer, and I am also a visual artist. I paint and do body art. One thing that stood out to me in the Rich Learning book is this quote that says, "Leave the body and environment out of the learning experience, and you are losing 2/3 of your mind before you even start." And that really stood out to me because, like, as I look back on my learning experience in high school and elementary school, it's been very apparent to me that I'm a visual learner. And most times, well, in the system that we are teaching in today, it's mostly lecture-based. So you're not accessing that visual learning, you're not accessing the movement that allows you to pay attention and actually attain information. Because for me, it was always about learning information and just knowing enough so that I could pass the test, not actually memorizing things. Because if you ask me a question about something that I learned in high school today, I probably couldn't tell you because it was only temporary. But I just realized how really important the arts are in schools, and it's just really sad to me that a lot of programs in schools are being taken out. A lot of art programs are being taken out of schools. And yeah, you just don't really think about how much the eyes hold so much importance in your learning experience.
Brianna, what you got?
Hi, my name's Brianna, and I just graduated from Southern Lehigh High School in Pennsylvania. And one thing from the Rich Learning book that I really am interested in and really picks at my brain is the whole section that talks about patterns and how patterns are everywhere in music, dance, theater, and art. And that kind of brings me back to when I was in school, when I wasn't having patterns in front of my face or any kind of pattern in the classroom, that I would doodle and make my own patterns. And we've talked about that a lot here at Rich Learning. So that's really interesting to me. And one thing that I have a question, I guess my question would be, what's your favorite Crayola product and why?
Hello.
Rachel Ann.
My name is Rachel Ann Preston, and I'm from Seattle, Washington. I just graduated with a degree in music with emphasis on piano studies, piano pedagogy, the physical anatomy and psychology of your body as you perform music, and piano performance.
And you started your first company at 13?
At age 13, that is correct. I am a business owner, or was a business owner. I just closed it, and where I hired teachers and we taught with many different instruments and created large music events for the city and local communities.
Yeah.
One of the things I found very interesting is on page 117, that art is an invitation into a conversation. And my question for you is how you created those conversations within your family, how you went into Crayola, how you saw art as an important place to put your time and to put your energies. And I remember with my family, I have a little sister, and she would draw on the walls with some Crayola markers, not the washable kind. And then when she would go into using the twistable pencil crayons and just drawing this incredible art, and now she's 14 and still decorating her walls. But now it's her room, so mom's okay with that. But if you have any stories about your family or what drew you into this position?
Oh, what drew you?
What drew you?
Oh, interesting. All right, Megan.
Hi, my name is Megan. I graduated from Appalachian State with a degree in art education, actually. And I just recently joined Rich Learning. And before joining Rich Learning, I was working in art classrooms in public schools in North Carolina. And I worked with students from kindergarten to 12th grade. And today I noticed
And
there's...
Spain.
Oh, yeah. And I was in Spain teaching art and English also. But I've noticed that today we have a lot of technology and a lot of hands-on experience is disappearing. Wow, my voice sounds so which is especially why in art classrooms it's really important to me for a child's education. And from personal experience, I noticed that especially for shy students, sometimes it's really simple. Something like as simple as using a Crayola crayon on paper can open up a child so much. Students can make so many connections with the crayon just from using it on paper, and they can open up to different colors. They can make connections with colors or make connections with emotions, and I just thought that was really cool. And one thing I want to know from you is, what have you seen in education that Crayola has helped?
Hello, I am Sky Noblezada. I am a student, and I went to school for musical theater and psychology, and I just recently was a character former at Disney World in Orlando, Florida, and now I'm super happy to be with the Rich Learning team. And something that I read in our Rich Learning book that I really loved kind of tags along with what Camille was talking about earlier, is that it's this quote, and it says, "Before we can make a difference for the children around the world, we must first make a difference in the world around the children." And I really, really love that, and how it really just kind of piggybacking on what Camille said. It's so important just to provide a safe surrounding for children. Open the kid before you open the book. Just allow them to feel accepted in their environment and also free to be themselves. So I really, really love that. And that makes me really love Crayola as well, because I remember as a kid always really loving the Crayola crayons specifically because I knew the colors and it was something that I was comfortable with, and just the package was inviting to me. So really just like the outside package, like the surrounding, the environment around it, that's what kind of drew me in. So I really love that.
Back to Wesley.
Yeah, I was wondering, I mentioned just how much technology is now so much more involved in the lives of children. I'm wondering if there are any ways in which Crayola is trying to also tap into that technological market. If there are any things for tablets or online games or anything that Crayola might be trying to market towards children to still be in the technological world, as well as in the physical art.
All right. Kat, tell us who you are.
Hello, my name is Kat Melheim. No relation to Dr. Rich Melheim. No.
She was my first experiment.
Yeah, I guess.
I had to try again.
Yeah, oh, thanks.
Sorry.
Dr. Rich is my dad. And I've been doing kind of like admin with Rich Learning during previous to our trips and during our trips. And yeah, I was there trying to get the child-safe paint because we wanted the children to be able to use that during art class. And we went to probably 3 different stores, a bunch of different stationery stores in Ethiopia. And we finally, somebody was like, "Oh, I know where it is. I know where we can find paint." So they took us to this, basically like the smallest, tiniest hole-in-the-wall Ace Hardware sort of place that you could ever imagine. And they bring out like a bucket of house paint. And I was like, no. We want the children to be painting. And then they like kind of stared at me blankly and then pointed to like a little back wall cupboard that had a couple cans of spray paint. And I was like, no. We need something that these children, they're 4 years old, can use. And they kind of like stared at me blankly again, and they were like, "Well, then why don't you get the jug of house paint?" And I was like, well, I don't feel comfortable giving that to children. I need something that will be safe for children. If they get it in their mouths, I don't want them to like die. and again, they stared at me blankly, and I was like, no, this is not safe for children. We can't get this. And they were just like, we don't have children's safety in Ethiopia. And that just like blew my mind. And yeah, I think as Ashley mentioned, there we had like a little, those like trays that come with the kind of color by number, paint by number things. So it has, little red, little yellow, or orange, yellow, each of the colors. And we had like 3 of those, and we brought it out. And even the teachers were just like amazed that there were these little colors that were safe and you could use with, you could paint with your fingers, and you could, have something that everyone could use, but we didn't have enough for everyone to use. But anyway.
You think there'd be a large market if there were child products?
Oh, yeah. I mean, at one point we brought, during our big group session, we kind of, every morning we have a little, like a big group session where all the children are, and we do a little play. And one day we had the main person, Wes, who was in the play, paint with the colors, and all of the children like rushed at him to try and like touch this paint that they'd never seen before and never been exposed to. They were all just like screaming and yelling and pulling and clamoring, trying to get these little tiny dips of paint. So yeah, there's a big not just market, but a big need and want and desire for it. So.
I noticed was there really were no child's brands. There were no cartoons on the walls. The only thing I saw was a Dora the Explorer backpack and a couple Frozen, Disney Frozen things. But as you're driving through town after town, block after block, you don't see children's cartoons. So I think the first brand that connected the cartoon to the product would be an amazing business from my perspective. Does anybody else have a question before we hand all 12 of these questions to Paul?
Squiggles and wiggles and circles and lines. Make up the alphabet sounds of all kinds. Put them together and you can spell words. You can make any word you've ever heard.